Before I moved to Japan, I got a lot of my information from YouTube, but none of it was coming from people like me. I was very conscious of my age being a barrier to a visa. Having a home, I knew was going to be the key to me being happy here. I just thought, I've worked hard, I've saved money. Like, what's next for me? What's my next stage of life? My kids have moved on. Am I just going to work here forever? Is that it?
Hello, and thank you for tuning in. If you're enjoying the show, subscribing is the best way to support us. It helps us grow and bring you new stories from life in Japan. All right, let's jump in. Welcome to Unpacking Japan. I'm Toby, and we are sitting in the studio today with Chani. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You're currently in Wakayama, originally from Australia. Now you work as an English teacher and used to work as a Japanese language teacher in Australia, but now continuing your practice online as well.
That's right.
You've decided to relocate to rural Japan close to your 50s, I think. And that's quite a unique journey, maybe different than most of the people that decide to move to Japan. So we want to talk about this, and maybe we can start at the beginning, but actually I want to jump onto something you were saying just before we started recording, which is you actually grew up on a boat.
I did, yes. Yeah, so I spent all of my sort of elementary school period living on a boat. So from about 5 to 12 years old, we had a Chinese junk rig, 42-foot sailing boat.
Wow.
Yeah, so my sister and I and my parents grew up on this boat, and we were homeschooled. So we were taught about the world via beautiful tropical islands, Hamilton Island, Hayman Island, all around Australia.
Your perspective of the world must be so unique growing up basically on the water constantly and moving from harbor to harbor and going through all these islands. Do you realize at that time already?
I don't think I realized, because that was our normal growing up. It was a very free lifestyle. So we did our schoolwork, the year's worth of schoolwork, in about 8 weeks of the year. So Mum would make us sit down and get that work done so that we could post it off to the Board of Education, and that meant the rest of the year we were free to just do whatever we wanted. So yeah, it was that's all I knew. So I think the shock of it all came when I had to go to school. And that started when I was in high school. I had to go to school for the first time. I had to put shoes on, and I had to sit at a desk. And when the bell went, that's when you could get up. So that was a really new concept for me, having the freedom of living on a boat, for nearly my whole life.
You mentioned a few islands that you went to, Indonesia as well.
Yeah,
how far did you ever go?
Indonesia, we went before we got our Chinese junk rig. We actually went there to build a boat. So I was there up until I was 2 years old, and Mum and Dad were building a boat there that we were going to sail back to Australia.
And did you ever go further than Indonesia, all the way to Japan maybe already?
No, we just stayed mostly in Australian waters.
So when high school comes around, you have to set foot on land and actually go to school.
Yes.
Which brings me then to my question, at what point did you kind of develop an interest for Japan? Because you ended up becoming a Japanese language teacher in Australia. So there must have been some kind of interest coming from somewhere.
Yeah, it's funny. I guess I had that sort of world experience from the boat, and maybe I felt a little bit trapped in high school, trapped in one place. So when I graduated high school, the natural progression at that time was to go to university. So I'd enrolled into university, and just before going into university, I saw an advertisement for a cultural exchange and a homestay program in Japan. And I thought, I could probably defer uni, and I could probably do that. I could probably go to Japan.
Anything to not sit longer at a desk.
And I'd never actually done any research on Japan at the time. I just thought, I got to get out of here. And yeah, I applied with quite a few other people, and I ended up being selected to do the homestay program.
Which area of Japan did that bring
I was
you
in
to?
Shikoku in Takamatsu.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went and lived with a family who ran a scuba diving business.
Cool.
And that was probably why I was selected, because I had my dive master license. Because through the high school in Cairns that I went to, through our PE courses, we did scuba diving as one of the qualifications you can get at high school. So I think I was a perfect match for that family because they run the scuba diving business out of Takamatsu.
So I imagine you did a lot of scuba diving in that area then?
I did, yeah.
How much is there actually to see? Because for scuba diving in Japan, I imagine Okinawa is the most popular destination. But is it actually interesting? And is there plenty down
No.
there? No.
Unfortunately, there wasn't much to see at all. We did see a couple of sharks.
Okay.
But the main point of I call him Oto-san, so he's my host father, Oto-san. The main point of his business was to get people to do their license, their scuba diving license. So he was teaching the license. And from there, he would take tours to Guam where they could actually use their scuba diving license.
Nice.
So his business also made wetsuits. So I became his kanban musume. So they took photos of me wearing the wetsuit, and I was on all of their pamphlets and magazines promoting the scuba diving business. And most afternoons after I'd been at school, I worked with him in the shop and greeted customers. And yeah, it was a really amazing experience. It was 18 months that I'll never forget.
18 months, that's a pretty
was
long
long,
time
yeah.
for homestay.
It was 18 months with that family. I got to know them really well in that time.
But then you have to go back to Australia and reality hits again, and
That's
you still
right.
have to make a decision. What do I do in university?
Well, I hadn't decided. So I came back to Australia after 18 months, and pretty much 3 months later, I had a working holiday visa and I was back in Japan.
Deferring university again.
Again, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And I had enrolled in a commerce degree. I don't know why I'd chosen commerce. It's probably because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
And it sounds international, sounds accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I was just, commerce. But then that time in Japan, it was so unforgettable. I just wanted to come back. But I wanted to come back as, I guess, an adult. I did seijinshiki with my homestay family. So I wore the adult kimono and I was like, I'm embarking on this world as an adult now. So I wanted to come back and try and do it on my own.
So you went back with a working holiday to that same family in
No,
Chile?
I thought I'm going to go to the big smoke, and I went to Osaka.
Oh, so
Yeah.
now you're back basically in your
Yeah.
former residence.
Yeah, so I thought I'd try living in Osaka for a while, and I pretty much got a job straight away because my Japanese fluency had got quite good at that stage with the homestay family and studying. I was really studying hard, like 5 hours a day, every day, trying to learn kanji. And I passed the N2 proficiency, and I got a job with Monsanto in Osaka.
Well, the food production company, right?
Yeah. So I got a job in their human resources department, and I thought, well, it sort of aligns a little bit with commerce. Maybe this is the direction I'll go in. And yeah, I worked there for 6 months, and then I had to change jobs. I think working holiday, you're supposed to keep changing around. So then I worked for an investment company, once again in business, trying to find out, where I wanted to go with things. But unfortunately, the Great Hanshin earthquake hit.
Oh, I see.
And that sort of it sort of derailed all of my plans because it was such a shock. A lot of the areas, all the trains were out, power was out, water was out, the shops were bare. And yeah, it really scared me. Coming from Australia, we don't have earthquakes.
So you were in Osaka at the time?
Yeah.
How bad did you feel that earthquake?
I was on the 6th floor of an apartment building at the time, and because I've never experienced an earthquake before, I thought a bomb had gone off because the noise was so loud and everything just sort of fell down on me at the time. And yeah, it was terrifying. I thought, it was the end of the world, actually. That's how I felt at the time.
And that meant for you kind of, let's go back to Australia a little bit and kind of take a break from that experience.
Yeah, so it was the job that I was working was also an international company, and a lot of their staff went home. And so my job was in a situation that was not sure if it was going to continue or not. And yeah, there was a little bit of post-traumatic stress because the news was just playing it 24/7. Like that's all you could hear on the news and the radio. And it was a really scary time. So I thought, I think I might go home. I think maybe this is the world telling me it's time to go.
And many decades later, a couple of decades later, after you've kind of built your life in Australia, you decide to uproot again and come back.
Yes.
So what brought you back to Japan this, let's call it second time around?
Second time around, yeah. I think I had unfinished business in Japan. So I felt like my stay was sort of cut short a little bit. And there was nothing, I really enjoyed living in Japan. It was a really good, positive experience for me. And I enjoyed the work culture and the people I met. And I felt it was always unfinished business. So after getting my teaching degree, I did my undergraduate, postgraduate, and then I got a job teaching. I raised a family, but I always kept the connection with Japan going. So with teaching Japanese in Australia, it's the second largest trading partner between Australia and Japan. So it's quite a popular subject for students to take. And I brought those students to Japan every year to do homestay, just like what I had done. So I was coming back every year bringing a group of students, and they were doing homestay. And so I was always connected to Japan, and I always wanted to live here again. It's just waiting for the right timing. And
so what was the right timing?
The right timing was my children grew up, and it was this small window of opportunity where my parents are sort of in their mid-70s and they're doing fine, they're healthy and well. And both my children had finished school, were happily employed, had girlfriends. They were off doing their own thing. And I just thought, this is a small window of opportunity for me to do something I want to do now. Like I've raised a family for the last 21 years. I've worked hard. I've saved money. It's time to do something that I want to do again. Because, you can be selfish when you're young. But once you have a family, you really have to give your all to that family, and that they're the most important thing in your world. And so that had been my most important thing for so long. It was time to do something I wanted to do, and that was come back to Japan.
I came to Japan when I was 25, and at that kind of age, it's like, okay, I'll maybe go study or find a job or go to school, like a semongaku or university. And you'd think about maybe working on the side with the baito and whatnot, just making it work somehow. When you've had a career in Australia and you've raised children and you are thinking about moving to Japan, you probably don't think about, I want to go back to maybe doing a small part-time job. I want to you're coming as an adult, you may have different expectations. How did you approach that move? How did you kind of think about what you want when you come to Japan and organize yourself?
It was, you don't do things as spontaneously when you're older, I think. I think you really like to have a roadmap of where you're going and what you want it to look like. And so for me, it wasn't a spontaneous, I'll just go to Japan. It was something I planned out probably when my oldest son moved out of home. That's when it started. It kicked in. Like I thought to myself, there's only a couple of more years and then my youngest son's going to move out of home. And so that was sort of the trigger where I'm going to start setting a plan in place for what I want on that next stage of my life, because they'll be off doing their lives. And so I really, being, I guess, middle-aged, you're a little bit more set in your career. You're a little bit more financially stable. I thought to myself, I was 49 at the time, and I thought, I've got 15 years of working life left before retirement. how am I going to roadmap that out to a comfortable retirement? And in Australia, we have superannuation, so you pay into your pension, and I've been paying in all of those years. So I've got that nest egg sitting there, but I can't stop paying into that. I've got to continue planning for my future, whatever that may be, wherever I might be living. So coming to Japan and thinking about living here and working would mean I also have to continue that financial roadmap. So it's important that I continue to work here.
So you can't just come and just enjoy, and I mean, you are enjoying, but it's not a move on a whim. You said you planned it for a couple of years.
That's
saved
right.
up the money to move and sorted your finances and
That's
such.
right. That was really important to me, not to have this turn into a financial disaster for my future. I have to think about how am I going to support myself in my old age. And that meant continue working and living within my means in Japan on a modest income and looking at ways to supplement that income.
So you decided to move to Wakayama.
Yes.
Why have you decided on Wakayama? You had some ties with Takamatsu, where you had your original experience. You later worked in Osaka, and now you decided to not go for the big city, where maybe there are a lot of career opportunities as well for you, but you decided to go to a more rural area.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more career opportunities in somewhere like Osaka. But would I be happy was the question I asked myself. I'm not moving all the way to Japan to be unhappy. I'm coming here, I'm doing something for me. And what makes me happy is connecting with local people, going for walks in nature, going camping, having a house where I can just lay my roots down. These are things that really make me happy. And I also have to think, how could I get home in an emergency? I've got elderly parents, so I wanted to be near the airport. So Wakayama just ticked all the boxes. I thought in an emergency, I could commute to Osaka if I needed to work. It's an hour away.
That's interesting, because I live in Osaka Prefecture, but it will probably take me a lot more time to get to Kansai International Airport than from where you live,
Yes,
I imagine.
it's
I'm in the
40
northern
minutes
side.
for me to Kansai, 40 minutes to the airport, 5 minutes to nature.
That's a very, very good spot you found there.
Yeah, so it really ticked all the boxes for me. Of course, I'd love to go back to Takamatsu. I've got friends there, but just location-wise, it was a little bit more complex.
Did you research the area? Did you kind of go and visit and to look at it? Would it be?
Yeah, I made a trip here just for that.
Wow. So before even deciding to move and maybe getting a job in that area, you went all the way to...
I spent 8 weeks on my school holidays in Wakayama the year before I actually moved here. I rented an Airbnb, I rented a car, and I just drove around, getting a feel for the area, meeting a few local people, just seeing the vibe of the place. I really did a lot of research. I looked at properties for sale a year before I moved just to see what you could possibly buy in Wakayama. If I was going to move here, I was thinking about potentially buying a house here if it was in my price range.
You said looking at the vibe and what kind of people. What is the vibe in Wakayama? What are the people like down in the south of the Kii Peninsula?
Yeah, well, they're very much like me. So they're relaxed, they're quite chill in Wakayama, and they're really nice people. So, obviously that's not the case, but not the case everywhere, but the people I met were my kind of people. Very welcoming, very friendly, and up for a chat. And I love that.
You planned this move for a couple of years. And comes a day where you have to actually pack your suitcases and come here.
Yeah.
A country to which you had traveled every single year for work that you had lived in before. But this time must have been somewhat different. What was it like to kind of... be at this stage and move again and settle for like a longer period of time here?
Yeah, of course, it was scary, very scary. There's a lot at risk when you're a bit older. Like my career's at risk. I'd resigned from my very good job I didn't know if I could get a good job like that again back in Australia. So there's a lot on the line to make the move. And so I was quite scared at the time, but also so excited. I think excitement took over fear.
So the two emotions are like fighting each other, but one kind of came out on top.
I mean, there's so much fear of the unknown. Like, is this going to work? Am I going to be back in a year? And it hasn't worked. If that happens, you know, that would have cost a lot, but it was the risk I was willing to take.
And career-wise, you went from teaching Japanese in Australia to teaching English in Japan.
Yeah.
How was that switch to kind of, you trained to teach a foreign language to an English audience, and now you're teaching your own language to a foreign audience?
That was really hard, actually, because I knew how to teach Japanese. I knew the grammar rules. I knew what would help students learn. I knew how students learn Japanese and the stages they go through. When I went to teach English, it was like teaching another foreign language that I didn't know, because as a native speaker, I just know how to speak English. I don't know the rules of English or how to teach it. So I'm looking at the books before the lesson going, oh my gosh, is that how that works? Is that grammar structure? Oh, I don't know. So it was a steep learning curve. And then I had to think, well, how can I teach this in a way that they're going to understand? You know, it's just this way because it's this way. That's how I've learned it. But whereas when I teach Japanese, I know the rules and the why and everything. So it was tough learning to teach English.
What was the actual class like with the kids? I don't know what age range you're teaching.
I teach all ages.
Okay.
So elementary, high school, and I have adult lessons. And I also teach special needs. I'm at a not-for-profit organization.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you had the theory in mind. You had to face the English grammar rules and why they exist. But then you have the actual classes with the students. How did that go once you kind of settled in and you started giving your first few lessons?
I did. I think I automatically reverted to my Japanese teacher self, and that's teaching with multimodal. So I try and do the 4 reading, writing, listening, speaking. So that's how I taught Japanese. And I tried to do 4 segments in every hour. So you swap it up so that kids don't get bored. So I just thought I'd use the same principle here in Japan teaching English and do reading, writing, listening, speaking, just break it up into the 4. And yeah, that seems to be working. The kids are great. Kids are kids no matter where they are in the world. Whether I'm teaching Japanese or Australian kids are the same. They'll have a go. If they'll try and push your buttons, no matter what country you're in, they all have a go and try and push your buttons. So
they always try.
They do. Yeah.
You said that for teaching Japanese, you knew how to explain it. You knew what kind of this student at this stage will face this challenge. But you don't know that for the English side of things. I'm curious about what are the challenges that foreign learners, or in your case, like Australian kids, have with learning a language like Japanese, and what kind of challenges have Japanese students with learning English? Do you see similarities that they are kind of struggling with similar aspects of the language, or is it very different?
It's very different. I think Australian learners learning Japanese are very keen to speak the language. All they want to do is speak Japanese. So they're excited to try out their language skills and talk. And I found in Japan it's a little bit the opposite. They're not so keen to use the language they're learning. They'd rather write it out in the textbook. So I definitely found encouraging my Japanese speakers to speak more English in class, the younger ones, the elementary school and high school ones, just getting them to communicate more in English was more of a challenge than what I found with the Australian students.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you found some tricks to get them to talk?
I just refuse to speak Japanese to them.
Don't give them the easy
they
way
know
out.
I know Japanese because I know exactly what they're saying. So they know that I understand, but I refuse to utter a word of Japanese with them, and I encourage them to say that in English. What's that in English?
It's quite a unique advantage to be a teacher here that
Huge
speaks
advantage.
Japanese too, because the kids can't go behind your back, so to say, to kind of plot some.
Not that they would, but it is a huge advantage, understanding. And then the communication with the parents is fabulous. Like, it's so good to be able to say, you know, little Tommy didn't do his homework and you need to get onto that. I can do that with the Japanese parents while Tommy's standing right there listening. So,
what about, so you're sticking to English only in the
yes.
class, but I imagine then that from their reactions, from what they're saying, you can probably kind of guess or hear what they are misunderstanding about, like a grammar point, for example. Does this help you to maybe explain it or bring it to them in a different way?
Yeah, because quite often my high schoolers will say to me, I don't understand, or something, but they'll say it in Japanese. I don't get what that word is. And so I'll rephrase it in English in a way that they might understand, or draw something on the board, or, understanding what they're saying does help me a lot.
What about, you mentioned you kind of brought your methodology that you were using before with you, this multimodal approach.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, generally speaking, they have very different methodologies in teaching a foreign language in Australia versus Japan, in the way they are being taught maybe here at high school to learn English brings up certain challenges that make it difficult for them to learn as well?
It's hard to say, because I was teaching in high school in Australia, and we are also very focused on test results. So the schools are judged on how well the students achieve.
Okay.
As a teacher, all I want for my students is to be fluent in the language. I don't care about the test results, but that's not going to be any good, because the kids need the test results to get into whatever course they're studying. So it's a really hard balance between getting the results and learning to speak the language. I feel in Japan it's similar to Australia in that it's results driven on those tests. So I know the kids want to speak English, but that's not going to get the points they need for whatever entrance exam they're trying to sit.
So that's how you kind of discovered teaching English in Japan. You mentioned that one of the other things that was important for you was to find a place that you could call home, that one of the things you enjoy the most is spending time in your home, a place you can settle roots in.
Yeah.
And before moving, you even started looking at some houses. And you ended up buying one of those now famous akiya empty homes here in Japan. What was the process for you to find it and kind of get the place?
Yeah, so that having a home I knew was going to be the key to me being happy here and staying here for a long time. I started looking online at properties using Japanese websites. Speaking Japanese is an advantage because, I can read the websites, and I started researching what properties were on the market in my price range, and then what was selling, what wasn't selling, how long were they on the market. So I did a lot of research leading up to coming here. So when I arrived, I already knew what the property market was like in Wakayama. So the first step was contacting a real estate agent and asking if I could go and view some of the properties, because what you see online is very different to actually walking through a house.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of the properties in Wakayama don't have street access.
Interesting.
So they will be on a little path somewhere that you can't actually get to by car, and they'll be walk-in only.
So you'd have to park further away or rent a parking spot.
Yeah.
And then...
When I said that, I meant a lot of the properties in my price range.
Okay.
So because I was in the very low end of what properties sell for, there was always something wrong with that property that was on the market in that price range. So anything under 50,000 US, I'll say under 50,000 US, that's probably the best number to work with.
8 million-ish?
5 million.
5 million.
Probably. Yeah, I'm rounding it off to Australian dollars. Probably anything under 5 million yen, there was something wrong with it. And they were the properties I was looking at.
What are the common things you've seen across those properties that were like big issues and maybe red flags for you to stay away from?
The biggest issue for me was Japanese style toilet.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted a Western style toilet because the cost to reform that was very, very high. So I knew I'd be up for a lot of money straight up if I had to reform the toilet. Leaking roofs.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one. And no road access, no parking. So I just had a huge list of what was not going to be okay for me. And then once I narrowed it down, there was probably 4 or 5 properties. The other thing is I needed to be right in town, and I needed to be right near the Wakayama train station in the event I needed to work in Osaka one day. So that's assuming, I couldn't work in Wakayama because there are a limited number of jobs there. So I also had to be near the station. So it's sort of prime real estate area, and then finding the worst house in the street with not too much wrong with it.
How long did that end up
It took
taking?
6 months.
6 months?
I found a lot online, but looking at them, you start, crossing them off. It's no good. So, yeah, about six or so inspections of different houses. And the one I ended up buying, it was amazing because my parents were visiting at the time, and my dad looked at it and he said, "This is the one."
Oh.
Yeah, and he was right. Like, he said, "This is solid. It's not tilted," because sometimes the houses can be tilted as well. He said, "The foundations are good. It's solid. It's not tilted. This is the one."
And yet, after you bought it, you made a video titled "Instant Regret After Buying."
Instant regret. It was. I think I cried for a week after I found out the pipes had burst under the house. So when you buy a property in Japan, you can't turn the water on until it's in your name. So no building inspection would have found this out. It's something that you do after the purchase. And the water company came out, turned the water on, and they said, "We're going to have to turn it off again. There's a leak."
Oh, no.
So there was a leak somewhere in the pipes.
And who's responsible for that in that situation?
In my case, in the contract as well, you're buying the property as is. And the real estate agent was saying, as far as we know, there are no problems with this house, no problems with the pipes, as far as we know.
But
it's
nobody's
been an
tested.
akiya for nearly 10 years. No one's lived here, so we can't say. So, they can say that, and it is a clause in the contract.
That's very interesting because it brings up a lot of questions with purchasing these slightly older properties when there's no way to actually check for some potential big damage, which you ended up having to bear the cost to fix.
That's right, yeah. And it's not the fault of the owners because they didn't live there. They didn't know. They hadn't lived there. I mean, they had probably inherited that property themselves. So, yeah, it was a shock because I was eventually going to renovate the bathroom because that's where the issue was. I was eventually going to do that, but I wanted to do it in my time. Like, just take my time, choose the colors, make it nice. But my hand was forced and I had to use my emergency savings, which I had, had my little emergency savings there for something that might crop up. And this was the thing that cropped up. So
pretty soon and pretty
straight
early
up.
on in your in your journey.
Week 1. And I also couldn't move into the house without water. So I had to extend my lease on my apartment that I was renting while I got the bathroom fixed. So it ended up, a little bit costly.
And stressful, I imagine.
Very stressful. And it was regret. I was, at the time I was like, this is a disaster. This is not the plan,
But now you live in a house that you're renovating little by little.
Yes,
and that
I'm
you very much
back on
enjoy.
track. It was a little hiccup in the journey that I'm on. And I think, I watched a show on NHK this morning. It was this Buddhist priest saying that after the rain is the rainbow. And I thought that's what happened. There was this bump, but now it's beautiful. The house is beautiful. It's a solid home. And I've been able to renovate it and essentially have my garden and everything I dreamed of living in Japan is there now.
It's coming together piece by piece.
Piece
but
by
it's not
piece.
easy, and there's a lot of things that maybe people that are interested in following in your footsteps don't necessarily see the hidden costs of owning a house.
That's right, yeah.
There's always, should we buy, or for people interested in buying a property like an apartment or a house, in the house, sometimes, no management fee and so on, but you have all of these additional costs that are for you to bear whenever you want to do renovations or maintenance sometimes.
That's
as
right.
well.
And I think, the rent that I was paying for the apartment, I haven't stopped paying that. I've paid it into my maintenance account. And it's with that maintenance account I'm able to afford to do things on the house. I don't have a mortgage. I own the house outright, but I continue to pay myself rent so that I can fix up the house as and when I need it.
Were there, I mean, the burst pipe was like an unexpected event, but were there any other like surprises, things you were not expecting with moving into the house?
Probably it's not a big one, but when they renovated the bathroom to fix the pipes up, they found there was some old termite damage.
Oh,
So obviously there had been, because there'd been a water leak, it had gotten into the timber, which makes it soft and delicious for termites. So they'd had a munch on the bathroom area, and there were some parts of the foundation that needed repair. So there was a few little surprises behind the walls. But yeah, that was all part of the renovation at that time. There was no more live termites found.
you mentioned you kind of continue paying yourself rent into
do.
sort of like a maintenance account, and I think you talk about this throughout a lot of your videos. You're very on top of your finances and kind of organizing all of these things.
Yeah.
What are some of these aspects of like personal financial management that were important to you when moving to Japan to like really make it work and craft the life you want to?
I think coming into Japan at this stage in my life, it's really important to think about my financial future. As I said before, I'm only 15 years away from being 65 and retirement. So, I can't be naive and think that I can work forever. I've always got to think of the end goal. So I am very much on top of my finances like that, just because of my age, I guess.
That journey you've been on, you started documenting that by making videos that you have posted on your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And what was the idea? What made you want to suddenly start a YouTube channel, which suddenly then blew up with some of your videos having millions of views?
Yeah. Why did I start? I think before I moved to Japan, I got a lot of my information from YouTube. A lot of information about buying property, because there was a lot online about akiya.
Well, that's certainly boomed in the last few years.
Yeah, and I was one of the consumers of that media, thinking, yes, this is possible. I could do that. So I'd watched a lot of content, but none of it was coming from people like me. There were no middle-aged single women doing this. They were all young men, I guess. I didn't, or couples. And so I felt like it would be nice to share my story as another voice of someone who's like me trying to do something different at their stage in life. And that might help someone. It might motivate someone. It might mean someone follows their dream, whether it's Japan or whether it's just doing something different. And I was in a bit of a rut before I left Australia. I was in a situation where I was like, what's next for me? What's my next stage of life? My kids have moved on. They're doing something different. Am I just going to work here forever? Is that it? Am I going to be 65 still doing the same job? So I think I wanted to say, you can make your own future. You can change your life around. You can do something different. And I just wanted to show that through my videos, maybe.
Did you expect that it would kind of blow up that much that fast?
I think the reason it blew up initially was my horror story about buying the IKEA house and my regret. I think fear sells more than good news stories.
It often does, yes.
Yeah, and I didn't mean for it to be like that. I guess I just wanted to share the good and the bad of what was happening at that stage in my life. I wanted to share that, yeah, sometimes there's challenges and hurdles. It's not all, buy a free house and live in Japan. It's all utopia. I wanted to show that there are some struggles along the way, but you can overcome those struggles with perseverance and...
But your story seems to have resonated with many people that were like you and that couldn't find any content with someone that they could maybe identify with or relate to. And I'm curious about, having put that out there, How has this impacted you to suddenly, maybe I imagine, have a lot of people reaching out, a lot of people commenting on the video with similar goals, similar struggles?
Yeah, it's been actually so positive, and the people that I've met through the channel have really encouraged me, but they've also said that I've encouraged them to make a change or do something different, or saying even, I'm also 50, my life's not over. I just realized you've changed your life at 50. I can also do something different at 50. And yeah, moving countries isn't just for young people. Anyone can do it with some planning, or changing your life isn't something that can't happen because you reach a certain age.
Has that channel helped you also maybe connect with people in similar situations that are already in Japan?
Yes, I've connected with a lot of people that are living in Japan who've said they felt a new love for Japan, seeing it through my eyes, just seeing it through a different lens. Because we can get so focused on our own little world, we forget to look outside. And I think some of my videos helped people see Japan. They might be living in the trenches doing the 9 to 5, but not see the beauty around them. And it's so easy to forget that.
When watching your videos, I thought that was interesting. You mentioned being in a rut, or having been in a rut before moving, and you talk about this also in one of your videos, where you kind of question being in that endless routine and doing your groceries and going to work and so on. But now you're documenting that very same thing here in Japan, and sharing your appreciation for going to the farmer's market and just buying vegetables, or kind of how you spend time on a Saturday afternoon, maybe managing your personal finances and things like that. So what you saw as mundane back in Australia suddenly kind of has a lot more flavor and brings you a lot more joy than before.
It does. It's amazing how that change of mindset, and it really is just mindset, because I could be doing the same thing in Australia. I could be camping with my cat. I could be going to the farmer's market. But it's my whole mindset changed when I changed my environment and the way I look at things so differently now. I'm not sure if it's the magic of Japan or if it's my mindset has totally changed.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think is that because of being in a different country, or the act of taking action to make a change in your life? And you could have moved from one side of Australia to the other.
Exactly.
It might have had the same impact of just kind of
doing
something.
I do think it's that change of mindset. I don't think you need to change countries to change your mindset. But for me, it really helped.
So now you have your roots in Wakayama. You have your home. You've got Millie, the star of the show, so to say.
Millie is the star of the show.
Yeah, she's getting all the attention in the comments. How is life in Wakayama now that you spend so much time researching the place, planning your move, and now you've been there for a couple of years?
Yeah, the honeymoon is not over. I still feel I'm in the honeymoon phase. Maybe this is it now. I don't know.
Does the honeymoon pass if you have the right mindset, or is it also a matter of mindset of kind of?
I don't know. That's to be advised.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. At the moment, we're enjoying life, Millie and I. And yes, she's the star of the show. She's such a unique cat. If you've seen her, she's got an amazing personality.
What was the story of how you actually got Millie?
So I was supposed to bring my cat over with me from Australia, but my son wouldn't let me have her. So they'd grown close and he said, "No, you can't have her." And so I'd been going to the local pet shop to nurse the kittens. The lady said, "Come anytime, they need socializing, and just get my fix with the cats." And one of the cats wasn't getting nursed because she had no hair on her nose. So she had a skin condition and she had a deformed chin, and that was Millie. And no one would nurse her. So I was going and nursing her all the time, and the price was going cheaper and cheaper because they couldn't sell her. And she was a bit standoffish as well because she hadn't been socialized. So she was always pushing away, like didn't want to be nursed. And I asked the lady, what's going to happen to this cat if you don't sell her? She said, "Oh, you don't want to know." And that was it. I was like, I'm buying this cat.
The staff said you don't
Yeah, I
wanna,
don't want to know.
I think that's
And I knew, like, if I don't take this cat, I don't know what's going to happen. I'd been rejected for adoption already, so I did try to adopt a cat, but unfortunately they said, you know, what's going to happen if you go into hospital? Who's going to be the guardian? So I needed a guardian to also co-sign on the adoption papers.
we adopted a dog, and it was the same procedure that we had to have someone.
And so I was completely rejected from adopting, and that's why I was going to the pet shop just to nurse the pets. And so I ended up adopting Millie.
What about the local community? Have you able to mingle and engage with the neighbors and the people at the local izakaya if you are enjoying going to izakaya?
Yeah, I take Millie for walks every day, and she has been my connection to the community, actually.
Wow.
And it's a funny thing which I never noticed in Japan before, probably because I didn't have a pet before, but I would take Millie out and people would literally make a beeline for me, which I never experienced before, and they wouldn't talk to me, they'd talk to the cat. Nani-chan desu ka? Nansei desu ka? And they're talking to the cat. And so I would answer on behalf of the cat, and then before you know it, we're having a conversation. But the conversation always started with them talking to the cat.
She's the icebreaker.
Yeah, she's the icebreaker. So it was a huge way into the community and the people in my neighborhood. And now when I go for walks, hi, Millie. Not hi, Chani.
Hi, Millie.
Yeah.
A lot of people online maybe occasionally discuss or regularly discuss the challenges of loneliness when moving to Japan. You moved to Japan by yourself to a rural community, set yourself up there with an environment that you feel comfortable in. And it seems like you've found ways to kind of deal with this, or you're not affected by this. What do you think are the tips people can follow from your experience to overcome this, to kind of engage with the community? Not everyone can get a cat as cute as Millie
that's right.
Talk with the neighbors, but I'm sure without Millie you would have still been able to kind of connect to the people that live around you.
Yeah, I think putting yourself out there. So my workplace was my first start of connections, and whenever they had Bonenkai or any gathering, I would always say yes. Even if I didn't feel like it, I would always say yes, I'll go. And I team teach with a Japanese lady, and she asked me out for coffee one day, and yes. So always saying yes to any invite that comes along, and getting to know people outside of work really helped. And yes, I did go to a local kisaten, kisaten by day, snack bar by night.
Oh.
And I just walked in the door one day. I could hear karaoke going off, and I thought, I'm just going to walk in and see. It was in my area. And after that day, I went every week. The people in there were fabulous.
They must have been quite surprised the moment you walked through the door the first time.
It's like all time stood still.
Karaoke stopped. Music stopped.
It was like, silence. And everyone just staring at me like, what does she want? So, and after that pause, it was like, I said, am I okay to come in? Yes, come in. And that was it. And then it was 20 questions.
Why are you here? Yeah. Who are you? Where are you from?
And that was it. We were friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the people there have been amazing. And I've seen a lot of those people socially as well. Mind you, they're all 70 and over.
But very warm and welcoming.
Yes.
So for people looking for communities, Wakayama seems to have plenty to offer.
I'm not sure about how the young people would feel about Wakayama as a place to hang out. There probably is not much nightlife.
Lots of nature, if people like hiking and
it
camping.
Just depends what you're into.
So you moved to Japan, you start teaching English, you end up starting a YouTube channel for fun, but now it's become a very big hobby of yours.
Yeah, definitely a hobby that I love.
And you continue teaching Japanese online to students that are interested in learning Japanese from someone that can also speak fluent English. Did you find everything you were looking for in Wakayama? Or do you feel like you're kind of still building something, chasing something?
I feel like I'm still building a life. I don't think I'm completely sure of my next
Mm-hmm.
directions. I'm very happy with my workplace, great people, lucky to have found such a supportive school. The house isn't where I want it to be yet. It's not finished. So I think having that ongoing project is a lot of fun for me.
Mm-hmm. The house is like never-ending project, is it?
Yeah, that's right. And that's a good thing because, there's always something I can do with it. So just keep saving and make this change. And yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going with this at the moment.
Looking back at all the work you put into planning for this journey, you were very well prepared. Do you feel like there was anything that you were not prepared for, or would you do it kind of the same way once more?
I would not change anything. In my life, I always think you can't look back and think, I wish I did that. I'm always thinking forwards. I'm not sure if there was anything I wasn't prepared for.
Since moving back, have you had the opportunity to go back to Takamatsu in
Yes.
the dive shop? Is the family still running the place?
No, unfortunately, it's now an akiya.
Oh,
Yeah. So my homestay father was in his 70s at that time.
okay.
So he would be well over 100 now. So yeah, that unfortunately is one of the many now akiya in Japan.
Any family or relatives that you met at the time that you were able to connect with, or?
It's really hard now because back in those days, that family was quite old already and there wasn't social media or email or a way to connect. So unfortunately, the last time I spoke to them was after the Hanshin earthquake. So I haven't been able to keep in touch.
What are other places in Japan that you want to explore now? You have your little K car, you have a cat that also seems to like to go on walks.
Yeah.
You've been camping a lot, but any place in Japan that you haven't been to that you kind
I
of are looking
still
forward to?
haven't finished Wakayama yet. Wakayama is a really large prefecture.
Yeah.
And there's lots of places I haven't seen. I'm going camping next weekend at a new campsite in Kada.
Okay.
So I still have lots of places within Wakayama to explore.
Well, you have the Kuma no Kodo.
Yes.
That alone is kind of a
Yeah.
lot of things to explore.
I would like to do the Nakasendo.
What's holding you back?
Time.
Time.
I need more time off.
Your teaching job is now 5 days a week?
5 days a week, yeah.
That takes a lot.
Yeah, so it's really only when there's school holidays I can go a little bit further afield from Wakayama.
What would you advise people that are kind of coming to you and maybe looking for a way to do what you've done? Where should they start?
First start is always visa. I think if you want to live in Japan, you have to focus on how you're going to make that happen. Buying a house won't allow you to live in Japan. You're going to have a visa to live here. So yeah, research what work you could possibly do and start from there. There isn't a retirement visa in Japan, so
True.
You can't just come here and buy a house and retire and live cheap. That's not an option. You've got to be working.
But that's interesting, right? Because that means a lot of people that may want to retire here, if they don't have a work visa or don't come early enough, they also can't get permanent residency to stay here beyond their working days.
That's right.
That will be a big challenge for many.
So, I mean, that is key. I think timing is key. And at what age are you going to be hired? I think I was borderline. I was applying for jobs at 49. It was before I hit that 50 number. I don't know if that helped in some way, but I was very conscious of my age being a barrier to a visa in Japan.
Have places that you had applied to kind of also hinted towards this, or like
no one had hinted, but with my qualifications and skills, I thought it would be a lot easier to get employment than what it was. So that did surprise me a little. A few companies I got to second and third interview but didn't get the job. And I did question, I wonder if that's because the other applicants were younger.
Could it be also a matter of salaries? I imagine, wages in Australia are known to be quite high. Of course, the cost of living is much higher,
Yeah.
but that is a huge change to the wages in rural Japan.
Yeah.
You discuss, I think, your wages also on your channel. It's not much
No.
to live by. And
That's
for
right.
someone that is at your stage of the career with that experience, maybe they expect you to want more for...
Possibly that could have been the barrier as well. So, yeah, I did find finding a job to be challenging and organizing that while in Australia before coming to Japan.
So probably something to look into way ahead of time for anyone that is
Definitely.
thinking
Yeah,
to
I
move into
mean-
Japan, especially in the middle of your career, like you
Yeah.
did.
Without that puzzle piece, the rest can't happen. So that is like step one. Unless you're just planning to travel and be on a tourist visa and buy a property, which I really don't recommend because the maintenance, I know from living in the house, there's a lot of maintenance ongoing. So you really need to be here to keep it at its peak condition.
Especially water pipes.
Water pipes, the humidity in Japan, you need to keep the dehumidifiers going. There's mold as an issue. So there's lots of things you really need to be here for.
I think it's a big misconception people have. I'll just buy an akiya on a whim from overseas because they are very cheap, but then what you buy usually comes with a lot of problems and extra costs.
That's right. And I know how beautiful the kominkas are, and I would love to have a kominka, but I actually couldn't afford to renovate one of those.
Expensive.
I've just got a stock standard 80s house, which it's quite simple to change pieces in and out. But a kominka, it's going to be a lot of cost to renovate something like that.
Are you able to now kind of manage everything as you planned with your income from teaching online and at the school and within the budget that you envisioned? Is this possible, or do you feel like things go easily over budget?
I think I can manage it quite well now, and that's helped. Actually, it was a subscriber to my channel that asked if I would teach Japanese online. So it was from the subscribers that I thought, oh, okay. And that's really become something I'm quite passionate about, is continuing my Japanese language teaching and doing that online through my courses.
Your community must be now all over the place, from the local kisaten and snack bar, the school, the subscribers, the language students that are abroad.
It's amazing. It's amazing
what internet can do.
Yeah, it is amazing when you think about that.
Chani, we talked about so many parts of your journey. Is there anything that we didn't really touch upon that you would have liked to maybe talk about? Something that is dear to you?
Covered so much.
Yeah, we went into many areas. But I'm really, I find it really cool what you've done, and kind of, I really appreciated a lot of your videos, how you just enjoy the every day going to the market. I feel like that gets lost when we are all working and maybe chasing something. We lose sight of what's already around us. And maybe your channel is one of those few channels that focuses on reminding us of that.
Appreciate the joy in the small things.
So we will see a lot more of that, I think, in your coming videos. A lot more adventures of Millie. Maybe you could attach a GoPro to Millie while you go out on a walk and see what she looks at and where she goes. Thank you very much for talking and sharing your story. And we'll make sure all the links are in the description so people can go and catch up on your many adventures camping around Wakayama.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Unpacking Japan, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Wow.
Good job.
Yeah, it's really cool. Thank you for sticking with us all the way till the end. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the podcast. It helps us improve the show and bring you more in-depth conversations from Japan. Take care and see you next time.